The New American Commentary says, the strongest evidence of Gentile authorship for the Gospel of Luke is his reference to Jews, which suggests that he was not part of this group. So basically the argument is that because Luke refers to the Jews in his Gospel and in the book of Acts, somehow this is supposed to prove that Luke himself was a Gentile. But there's a very big problem with this argument, because if we go to the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah says, I gave the deed of purchase to Baruch in the sight of all the Jews who were sitting in the court of the guard. Does that somehow prove that Jeremiah was a Gentile because he refers to the Jews? Of course not. Actually, this is a very Jewish expression. You see, since the Babylonian exile began, many non-Israelites started living in the land of Israel, and the Jewish people would refer to their own nation as the Jews, meaning the Jews as opposed to the non-Jews living among them. And then let's move on to Ezra. In Ezra chapter 5, Ezra says, the eye of their Elohim was on the elders of the Jews. Obviously, this does not prove that Ezra was a Gentile, writing to the Gentiles, but instead Ezra refers to the leadership as the Jews. And we see the same thing in Nehemiah chapter 5, where he says there was a great outcry of the people and of their wives against their brothers the Jews. So if you read the whole story in Nehemiah chapter 5, you will see that this was not a complaint of the Gentiles against the Jews. No, these people bringing the complaint against the Jews were also Jewish. So what does this mean? This means Jewish leadership. The people were complaining against the Jews, meaning against the Jewish leaders. So these are the two main uses of the word Jews in the Old Testament. Number one, to differentiate between the Jews and Gentiles among them. And number two, to differentiate between the Jewish leadership versus the common people who were also Jewish. So both of these uses are found in the Old Testament, both these uses are found in the New Testament. These are Jewish expressions, and it's got nothing to do with Gentile authorship or a Gentile audience.